And welcome to the 25th episode of the New Podcast. My name is Steven, joined as always by producer extraordinaire Kelly. Let's get to it. Coming to you live for the 25. Doing things a little different tonight. Going live, folks. You'll see that little red light on the screen that we are live. Wherever you are, whatever time zone you are, we are live. Having it happen as the news goes by. Huge weekend of MMA with Bellator, UFC, and I caught something new this weekend coming down with some Road FC. I've seen a lot of the highlight fights throughout the years of Road FC, but this time I actually got to sit down and watch a whole card with the conclusion of the lightweight tournament. Someone went home with $1 million. I don't know if that's 1,000,000 yen or whatever they got in Korea, whatever kind of money they got, but the winner took home a ton of dough. I thought it would have garnered a bit more attention from stars around the world with that much money being thrown around, but it was a long tournament, that is for sure. Break it all down through the night. We had one hell of a night of waters last night, Kelly and I, playing some amazing games with Pong Connect 4, Ping Pong Connect 4. What a game. Kelly was one hell of a player on it. I stunk it up, but nevertheless, was it ever fun playing the game at the party last night. Shout out to our boys over at the house over there and everyone having a great old time. Let's get some MMA news and news around the world. I don't know if you checked it out, Kelly. They actually have it on TSN 1. Not just on TSN 4 or 5, one of the kind of like the outer fringe event channels. TSN 1 showing the esports Overwatch League. Have you checked it out, Kelly?
I have not.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
It was pretty good. It was actually quite entertaining. It was, I've only played a little bit of Overwatch. I like the game. It's a good game. But it was very, very intense. Teams from around North America. The episode that I watched was Toronto versus, I believe it was San Antonio or Austin, Texas. I think it was I can't remember. It was some city in Texas. It was actually really, really good matches, though. There was some intrigue. It came down to the wire for a few of the different matches, and the way they line it up is, different games go up against with different challenge modes and shit like that, and it was actually quite entertaining. The only thing that's weird is all these teams from different places, especially the Canadian teams of Vancouver and Toronto. They're basically all Koreans. And they had a screenshot of they don't let you listen in on the teams what they're talking about, but they had the screenshot from one of the guys from Toronto, and it was all in Korean. So I don't know how much of a Torontonian he is. Because all the text on his screen was Korean. Whatever, Korean makes some of the best video game people out there. Maybe he got poached to move to Toronto to play for the team, and whatever. Maybe that's what the sport is right now. But good for those dudes for getting paid. It was actually quite entertaining. The host and the commentary team was actually pretty good, and it didn't disappoint. I'm excited to see what other sports they bring about. Like maybe we'll see more of these battle royale games get play on these, or even what's that? League of Legends. Obviously, I'm not really into League of Legends at all. I've watched it, but I've never played it. Not really my cup of tea, to tell you the truth. But all the other games, the possibilities are endless. Even to Apex Legends on it. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Teams of 3, and then you can have a whole room of teams of 3. And I think that'd be really, really cool. You know what I mean? However that would break down, I think that would be really, really awesome to watch. And intense as hell. Kelly is a master at the game, I might add, carrying our ass last week, my ass especially last week, and we did have a win. Kelly had the win, carried it, put me on his back, and and carried my dead ass and won the game for us. The other computer, it wasn't the computer, but the other random guy that was in our team that joined us was pretty damn good too. Yeah. And it obviously helped for us to get that victory. First victory for me is probably going to be the last unless I'm playing with Kelly again.
You'll find some good players.
Yeah. I'm good for taking bullets. That's my specialty, getting shot. I'm really good at that. That's why Gibraltar, I think, is one of those good guys. I love Gibraltar. In other news, Sexy Star, former Lucha Underground women combatant, is making the move to MMA. She's 5-0 in amateur boxing, and now here we see her moving over to Combat Americas too, and where she's going to have her debut fight. Easy move with Alberto Del Rio being basically the president of that, and then to have her come over is a simple move. A girl who basically got kicked out of wrestling for being too real and for slapping on a hold and injuring a girl, to moving to MMA. Obviously she wants to still make money somehow in her career, and good on her for being able to move over to a combat sports in MMA. And I think she could do good. She's very good looking, and she's tough as hell. So we'll see what happens when it comes to Sexy Star making her MMA debut. Combat Americas is really starting to make some moves. I want to watch. They're always doing these tournaments. I gotta definitely catch the next show that they put on, especially if it's going to have Sexy Star on it. Big news coming out this week is the announcement, obviously, of Israel Adesanya versus Kevin Gastelum for the interim belt at UFC 236. All that's going down. That card is really shaping up to be one hell of a card. UFC 236 going down. I got to ask you on this one, Kelly, who takes it, Israel or Kevin Gastelum?
I'm going with Kevin Gastelum. Sorry. I think that, I don't know, after his last fight with Anderson Silva, I think he just kind of let me down in that fight, you know what I mean? He didn't do what I thought he was going to do. I don't know if he was just being too cautious or he just like idolizing Anderson Silva and he didn't want to hurt him. Whatever it was, but I think Kevin's going to take him down, and I think he's going to, just pound him out.
Yeah, I could see that too. Just, you know what I mean, to go up against one hell of a very well-rounded fighter in Kevin Gastelum. Obviously, his strategy is going to be just to put him up against the fence, make it a dirty fight, and not let Israel, utilize his technique. And obviously, maybe he can use some clinch move, but I think that Kevin Gastelum's just going to smother the hell out of him up against the fence, and then constantly work the takedown, nullify any of his traits, and then that'll be it, really. It's going to be a long night, I think, for Israel. Maybe he can get the shot in, maybe he can get a quick knee in, something like that, but we will find out. Going down, UFC 236. One of the most disappointing news updates of the week was, we're doing it live, folks, was Anderson Silva. His new opponent is announced as Jared Cannonier, to the dismay of the world. Everyone wanted to have the Nick Diaz fight, but that's obviously not going to happen. Jared Cannonier versus Anderson Silva, and probably Anderson Silva's final fight, going down in Brazil. And Jared Cannonier, having his 185, he's been tearing it up at 185, and having another, kind of like a stepping stone in his way to move up. And from a dude who came from heavyweight to 205 to now 185, he's kind of found a good little spot where he's actually found a place for his power, where the weight cut isn't too much for him. And I'm somewhat excited, but that fight wasn't on my radar at all. Unfortunately, I would like to see somebody else. I could see Jared Cannonier kind of handily winning that fight, just because we're not seeing the Anderson Silva, that we saw a long time ago, is far long removed. But speaking of Nick Diaz, he has come out now and said, I am retired. And unless they're going to throw a ton of money at me, I'm not fighting anybody. And I can't blame him. Like I said, the dude is obviously done very well with the money he's already has, and he's invested it very wisely, and he's at a place where he doesn't need to fight. But I could see, obviously, if they throw a stupid amount of money at him, he will come back. Anybody will, if the price is right. And good on him for being able to make that decision and say, nope, not going to do it. They obviously weren't going to offer him enough for that Anderson Silva fight. Big news that just went down just last night is the announcement of the St. Petersburg card. I think it's April 6th. UFC going to Mother Russia in St. Petersburg, April 6th. And one of the big fights announced for that is Alistair Overeem versus Alexander Volkov. I think that should be a great heavyweight bout, especially for over in Russia. It'll definitely put asses in seats. Overeem always is a huge draw, and then obviously giving him a local guy in Volkov, coming off that tough loss. I think it's going to be a great stand-up matchup. I think Volkov can kind of take it. I'm a huge fan of the Reem, but Volkov I think just has one too many tools for that questionable chin of Alistair Overeem. But as we've seen time and time again, Overeem is very, very dangerous and cannot be slept on. And if Volkov does that, he will be sleeping, literally. Good matchup announcement. I'm excited to see what other fights they have announced for that card in St. Petersburg. Probably in the biggest news this week is Say It Ain't So GSP, the ultimate retirement of Georges St-Pierre, Canadian hero, Canadian legend, one of the best fighters at 170, easily a future Hall of Famer in the UFC, as one of the best 170s of all time in the world, bar none. Right from Quebec. Sad to see GSP finally to announce his 100% retirement. I hope he doesn't go back on his. When you see a guy retire and they make a big deal of it and then they come back, it kind of cheapens the whole thing. And a lot of people were very sad and heartfelt. And he did a bunch of shit, like he went to a hockey game and dropped the first puck and all that kind of stuff. I just, if he can retire, I hope he retires and he does it good in his movie career and different action star stuff. I love that idea. To be able to go off into the sunset on his own terms. I think that's what he kind of had said this whole thing was to be able to go out on his own terms. But the unfortunateness is the reason why he did leave is because he wanted Khabib. He wanted a match against Khabib, and I guess the timeline didn't work out, and the money wasn't there, so the UFC said, no, we're not giving it to you, and then Georges St-Pierre untimely retired. Khabib still lobbying for a fight in November against Georges St-Pierre. Who knows what weight class it would be, and that one was really rumored for quite some time, but still, sad to see him go. Sad that the UFC wouldn't get that deal worked out, and we don't get to see, the fans don't get it, and ultimately GSP decides to say call it a day and retire. I think it would have been a great match, unfortunately, but we will not see it.
I was hoping he would announce that as his retirement fight.
Yeah, exactly. I would love that too, to say, hey, I'm retiring. I won last fight.
Yeah, win or lose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, win or lose. Exactly. I think that would have been a great move. Absolutely, Kelly. Especially going against Khabib, another great grappler. So two grappling dudes going at it, I think would have been great for it. Actually, I bet you would have probably been actually pretty exciting fight, to say the least. Two dudes who have been in some boring fights, but I think when you put two grapplers of that high of a level up against each other, I think it makes for actually a great match.
Khabib would be for legacy, and for GSP not going out as a champ, basically for a 3-division champ if he could do that.
Wow, yeah, man, that would have been amazing. I wasn't even thinking to get down to 155, to be the 155, 170, 185 champ. Wow, that would have been amazing. Like no one else could ever even think of doing that. Let alone, GSP, beating Bisping. I remember that night very, very vividly. What a great win that was to choke out Bisping. From his comeback to come back and win that fight, that was insane. And the house was packed that night. I'll never forget that night, jumping up and down, though, as the whole room was when GSP won that one. But just to win the 155 belt, wow, now you're really talking about that's some real shit there. 3-division champ would be huge, and especially to be able to leave on that. That's one hell of a feather in your cap.
It's a shame.
Yeah, super big shame. When that fight was announced, though, it was all getting down that since it was going to be Khabib versus GSP was the big rumor backstage of the UFC, two dudes were pissed. The most, Dustin Poirier. Second, Al Iaquinta. Two dudes, once they found out that the UFC was going to be pulling this again on them, they both asked for their release. Said they're done with this shit. and they're tired of playing these games, and they want matches. They want matches that mean something, and they want to be able to be in a lineup that means something to be able to fight for that 155-pound belt. Why else are these guys doing it if not to fight for that title? And I think that's why they were both very upset. But as we obviously heard later on, I think the news was first broken on Saturday, is that it will be a 155-pound interim title shot between Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier, finally getting his due not to leave to get that shot. I think the UFC made a smart move by not letting Dustin Poirier leave, because he could easily go to Bellator and make a ton of dough over there. I like the matchup. I'm a little bit weirded out by Max Holloway getting the instant basically title shot for the interim belt. I guess he wants to be, up to that Conor McGregor style money, and maybe this gives him more of a chance to fight Conor McGregor. So it's almost a definite that we will see Cowboy versus McGregor. I kind of wanted to see Ally Quinta versus Conor McGregor. Maybe that's the fight they throw at him to help him stay, give him that money, and maybe Rage and Al can stop complaining and get a good win and get paid on that one. But I gotta ask you, Kelly, on this one, who takes it? Max Blessed Holloway versus Dustin Diamond Poirier.
Oh man, Dustin's been so good lately. He's improved so much that it's hard to say now. But I'm gonna have to go with Max Holloway just because of how he's been performing. In the last few years, he's been destroying people. And he is, a champ. So I'm gonna have to go with Max Holloway.
Yeah, I'd have to go too. I gotta go Max Holloway just because his output, his height. He's got to be, 155. I couldn't see that damaging him at all. I bet you it probably is a division he sits a bit better in, just with his age and his frame. I think the extra 10 pounds will do him wonders. And I think it's going to be a very, very tough challenge for Dustin Poirier. The thing about Dustin Poirier, his chin isn't what it used to be. And if you're going to sit in the pocket and trade with a guy like Max Holloway, he could be asking for a short night as well. But it's going to be a banging match. I think that's what the best part about this matchup is. It's going to be a great, great fight to watch between two dudes who really love to get at it and who both have that killer instinct of wanting to win and wanting to finish. And I think that's where we're going to be blessed with watching this fight. The shitty thing is, apparently Tony Ferguson was offered the fight against Max Holloway and actually turned it down.
What?
Yeah, he actually turned it down, willing to wait. That's what he has said. He doesn't care. He wants Khabib next, and he's gonna wait for it. But so it's kind of weird with the interim belt being placed here, and now Khabib coming in. If Tony even beats Khabib, he still has to fight another one. With Max Holloway or Dustin Poirier, whoever wins that one. So you're kind of really tying up. You want to talk about tying up division? This is really going to tie up that division.
And why would you want to sit out that long? You're not making money. You know what I mean? Like, you should get those fights, get the money. You're still proving yourself. You still, you don't get that ring rust. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And especially for a dude who's been so injury prone, like Tony Ferguson. Sitting on the shelf that long, you're just asking for an injury.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't look good for him.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Strike crazy. Alrighty. Let's get to it here.
You should just keep getting interim belts, man. Just fighting those interim fights. I'll be like the interim champ. Just have more interim belts than anybody else.
Every fight is for the interim.
Every interim fight, yeah.
Every fight is for an interim belt. 2-time interim champ. Because I think Tony Ferguson was an interim champ. Yeah, he was, yeah.
He got stripped because he got hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be hilarious if he just keeps getting interim belts.
Wow. Rough.
Whole wall lined up with interim belts.
They got big asterisks on them. Oh, shit. Alrighty. Moving right along here, folks. Live 25. Let's move right along. Night fight this weekend, once again, not disappointing. It was a really cool episode of the Night's Templar versus the Persian Empire. Really cool little show. There's still a good mixture of talent when it came to it. The one thing I really liked about this show was this guy, Carl Fisk. He had never had been in a night fight ever. First time ever he was in it. And I thought right off the bat, like, and he was a choreographer. He's a fight choreographer, so he had some kind of knowledge of how to swing a weapon and that type of thing. But he came out right on the bat saying how he had like how he had practice with his short muscle reflexes. I thought, this guy's getting crushed. This guy's gonna get the shit kicked out of him. No chance in hell. Is this guy gonna win? He's gonna get worked. Dude wins the whole fucking show. He had one hell of a tough dude in this Dale Saran guy. Great fighter too. And for a rookie, for a first time to compete, going all the way to the final, I could not believe it. To be a fight choreographer and make it to the final, this Dale Saran guy ends up retiring in the end. He was a much older dude. And then to pass the torch on to this Carl guy. He's a big guy, big, lanky. He knew how to move. He was quite quick. He didn't tire out. I think that's what we see from a lot of these other dudes. They don't work on their cardio at all. Some of these dudes, they're just gasping. I understand it's obviously you're wearing like 100 pounds of armor and you're trying to fight and wrestle and do all this other shit. But this guy didn't affect him. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking these guys got to work on their cardio if they're going to make it. I think that's what everyone's got to do if they're going to make it to the final round. Carl Fisk moving on, number 5 guy, and next show is going to be the last show for the final spot in the final 6. I am super excited to see what happens on the next show. Cannot wait.
I'm going to buy that from iTunes or whatever when it comes out on iTunes.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's really entertaining because they really go out. Like I said, when you do the first 3 matches are just the 6-man free for all. It is nuts. It's just everyone just waiting to fucking blindside somebody. That's all it is. They're just waiting to cheap shot. Yeah, so that's what this Dale guy had done. Was he was so good at running and attacking somebody, cheap shotting somebody, moving out, cheap shotting somebody, moving out. So he wasn't staying around waiting for himself to get cheap shotted. So it's quite interesting when in the beginning these dudes are just getting cranked right in the back. No amount of armor is going to be able to fix you, to be able to stop you from getting hurt on that. They're just getting smashed in the helmet. But there was some really, really good battles on this one, as there always is. Breaking it down MMA style. Let's get into some Road FC. Road FC 52. Really good event. Really, really good event. I really actually thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought I was having on the background. It'll be something I'll just, take notes on and keep in the background. I won't really be paying attention. But no, I was actually thoroughly enjoyed the show. They really actually did a very good job. It's not like it's not flashy. They don't have a whole bunch of pyrotechnics or, crazy crap like that. But it is professional. I'll give them that. Road FC's been around for quite some time. And with their 50-second show, it did not disappoint. Good event though. That's the main thing. The fights they put on were really good. There's one dude from Brazil, Michel Pereira. His fight was pretty cool against, who the heck did he take on here again? Against Dae Sung Kim. And it was an open weight match, so both these dudes were pretty big guys. And the cool thing about Michael Pereira, he goes into this huge breakdance routine when he's being announced. The ring announcer was actually quite good too. The ring announcer, man, he really had some pipes. This guy was, my hat goes off to him. He was really letting it fly with the length of the stuff he was saying. It was really, really good. But he does this huge breakdance routine, and I couldn't believe it. I thought, how is this guy not gassed from this break? And it was an amazing breakdance routine. It wasn't, and this guy's a big guy. It wasn't like some little, he does a little spin-a-rooney and that's it. No, he was doing some crazy-ass moves for his breakdance routine. And to be a super heavyweight and getting that done, I was very impressed. But what was really even cool was, Kelly, when you have the one guy on the ground, the other guy's standing, and he's just kind of feeding him leg shots, while one guy's lying down on the ground. Motherfucker goes for a backflip stomp onto him, but it actually missed, and he ends up crushing his dude's head.
Oh shit, dude! What?
So the ref just put it. It was an accident, obviously. He was okay, yeah, the ref obviously stopped the fight a little bit. Just
backflip onto his head.
Yeah, he did a backflip onto his head. Yeah,
Shit.
with his foot, like it was a backflip stomp onto his head. So the ref
don't even need to watch that to like.
Yeah,
now you feel it.
Oh yeah, no, it caught him. It caught him. It was pretty crazy though. I was pretty impressed by it, actually, to tell you the truth. But
and he's okay.
He was okay. Yeah, they had a brief stop, and he kind of they had a brief stop, and talked to him, say you obviously can't do that. He's like, oh, it just was an accident, and the guy kind of just shook it off and went on. But he did end up losing the fight. Dae-Sung Kim ended up losing the fight, getting knocked out. It was actually a really, really good match though. Really, really good match. They have a good mixture. That's what I noticed about these guys. Good mixture of bringing in a lot of Brazilians, which I find you really have to do. We see that in the Russian organizations as well. In bringing in fighters from another place where the population is just through the roof in Brazil, and the fighters per capita per population is a huge number. So they're just everywhere. There's professional MMA fighters everywhere in Brazil. That's what we were talking about before. How there is not a major league organization in Brazil is just shocking to me. And I think it's the benefit to these international shows, like obviously UFC, like Road FC, like ONE FC, like M1, and all these other Russian organizations where they have just nothing but expendable talent to be able to steal from Brazil, because there's no one there that's going to keep them at home. And I think they're obviously, for the international experience that they're going to get out of it, is worth every penny to those dudes. And good for them. I think it would obviously be pretty damn fucking cool to be some kid from Brazil, and you got a few amateur fights, a few professional fights on your belt, and now you're flying over to Russia to fight some D'Agostini dude. I think that's obviously got to be pretty damn fucking cool. And that's what we saw here at Road FC, a good mixture of Brazilians thrown in the mix. But the coolest part about they did have the bantamweight title for this on this one as well. That was actually a really, really good fight. But the coolest part was the conclusion of the 155-pound tournament. The tournament had been for so long, they don't really, Road FC doesn't really do that many cards. I'm sure they'd probably do like 6 cards a year. The tournament actually started in 2017. You know what I mean? And here we're at the beginning. It was probably at the end of 2017, but still, here we're in the beginning of 2019. And they have the conclusion of the match, and it was a really, really good match. You could really see the talent that this $1 million had garnered with Shamil Zavarov versus Mansour Barnoui. Barnoui, yeah, Barnoui. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, I hate that. I always practice pronouncing the damn name, and then when I'm looking at it here on paper here, it's harder to pronounce than it looks. Coming to you live. But it was actually an amazing fight. This Mansour Barnoui guy, man, he was nuts. He was such a great grappler. He was super lanky. Just his stand-up was amazing. But what was even better was how good he was on the ground. And what we saw was cool. Shamil had Khabib in his corner. And there was a ton of Russians in the crowd. Obviously, with Korea being so close to Russia, I'm sure it's an easy flight to get over there. But obviously, they were all cheering for Zavarov to win this one. And man, it was just the tale of the fight was just Shamil with amazing takedown skills, and his leg kicks were so strong. His leg kicks were just really kind of rocking this dude in Mansour, and he didn't have an answer for him for how accomplished of a striker he was. I don't think he was prepared for the power that Shamil was throwing in his leg kicks, and the takedowns were too much. But on the flip side of the coin, this Mansour guy, man, his jiu-jitsu sweeps were beautiful. If you're a jiu-jitsu guy and you want to see a good combat jiu-jitsu fighter, check this fight out, because his sweeps were effortless and beautiful and just all over the place. He was calm, cool, and collected. He didn't seem like he was gassed the whole fight, even though he was really on his back a lot of it, because the takedowns were so strong from Zavarov that he was really on his back a good amount of the fight, but he was just constantly sweeping, getting the position, standing it back up, going for the punches. And boom, get taken down again, sweep him again, stand back up, go for a submission. Really, really good fight. Ends in the second with one of the most beautiful knees out of the clinch I had ever seen. It was really cool. Kelly Shamil, the Monsieur guy had him in a tie clinch, and just as Shamil gets out of it, he lands this crazy, it was like a double pump knee, and just knocks him out cold. Arms open cold, to the dismay of the Russian crowd. Fall silent. It was crazy. Yeah. It was a crazy, crazy knockout, man. It was a really, really good fight. Dude wins $200,000 for the fight and the $1 million for the winner of the whole tournament. I can see this guy getting a call up from the UFC. Let's take it down here. Let's break it down here. 6 degrees of separation. Monsieur Banori. He's the Afro Samurai. Not a bad nickname. He was fighting out of France, but I think he's actually Moroccan. I think he's actually from Morocco. Very tall dude, for 6 foot, for 155. I think he looked taller than that. Young as hell, only 26. Fighting out of France. 17-4. Really looks just like all of his losses are by decisions. Fighting a lot. He fought in Bama for a little while too. He fought at M1. He's lost. He actually fought in KSW too, so he's been around. He's actually, man, this guy's been everywhere. Going from M1 over to Bama, back to M1 again. Makes a little stint in KSW, and then to move over to Road FC, winning all those fights for the tournament, all by rear naked choke to get to the final fight of the tournament and winning by knockout. I could see this guy getting a call up from UFC or somebody.
He's young, tall, and he's never been knocked out or submitted in any of his fights.
Yeah, he's only lost by decision.
That's a huge stat.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, just that international experience, that is amazing. Now, that's a guy who's well-traveled to be able to go into the UFC. I can bet you he goes in to enemy territory and to really get it done. Good on him. I want to see more of this dude here, the Afro Samurai. Let's take a look at Khabib's buddy here as well. Let's break it down. 6 degrees of separation. Shamil Zavarov. Oh, he actually had a really, really good 35-5. Well, he's 35-6 now. Let's see here. He had a KO before. He's been submitted a few times. He was a bit of a sloppy fighter, but the power in this dude was what impressed me. It was how strong this guy was with his leg kicks. And like I said, his grappling is obviously amazing. His takedowns are flawless. He's a very, very strong, obviously being one of the D'Agostini dudes coming out of the camp with Khabib alone. And his nickname's the Lion of Dagestan. Not bad. Not a bad nickname. I like that. Not a bad nickname. Let's see here. He's kind of, been on the Road FC tournament as well. Really, obviously it looks like WFCA had been his home for a long time. Obviously fought. He did do one of the fight nights. Actually lost that one. Oh, against Enomoto, too. That guy's a tough dude, too. A German-born dude who, he's lost to him twice. Weird. German-born guy who actually moved to Japan. He loved Japan so much in MMA, moved to Japan and that's what he wanted to do. Yeah, then other than that, not really any notable names on his. Hermes Franca, he actually beat. When did that go down? 2015. Hermes Franca doing probably not going to get out of jail anytime soon. That's about it. Yeah, really. Oh, Ronnie Torres was his win before this to make it to the final in the tournament too. Flip side, he's only 5'8", 155, a little older, 34. But really, really, really good fight. I hope to see more of those dudes, and good for Road FC be able to put up the dough, making a little statement. We talk about ONE FC and Risen, really making these waves, and here we see Road FC. It may have taken a long time, but it was actually a really good show, and I actually really thoroughly enjoyed it. I was on the edge of my seat for that match. It was very technical. Two dudes who knew how to fight, and with a lot on the line. A really, really good show. Did not disappoint. Take a little drink here. What are we gonna break down here? Let's go to Bellator first. Let's breaking it down. Bellator 217, Gallagher versus Graham. It actually wasn't a bad card. Where did this? Yeah, this one was in Dublin. Yeah, it was in Dublin. Yeah, it was a good card. Even though I already kind of knew the results, I still watched it later on in the night. At least it was on Paramount Network. If you don't mind watching the same commercials about Ink Master and Cops 10 times in a row, it's actually good to watch. I do enjoy it. Lots and tons, obviously, of Irish dudes. The SBG guys were everyone was in attendance. The one fight I really liked that I blinked and missed was Charlie Ward versus Jamie Stevenson. That was a crazy knockout. Dude folded underneath his own arm. He was knocked out cold. Other than that, it wasn't, super exciting. It wasn't terrible. Kiefer Crosby, that was actually a good choke by Kiefer Crosby. It was a good fight. Miles Price versus Peter Queeley. That was actually, those dudes went toe to toe. That wasn't a bad fight. Going to the split decision for that one. I actually had that one all 3 rounds to Miles Price. I'm not sure how it went to split decision, but that's how she rolls when you go to the judges. And James, that brings us to the main event. James, I wish I was Conor McGregor Gallagher versus Stephen Graham. He's making his. He's kind of even got he's got like a similar tattoo on his chest too. He's got a lion on it, or I think it's like a tiger or some shit on his chest too, right in the middle of his chest. And
does he have the neck tattoo? I can't remember.
I think he does. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's got a lot. He's got very similar Conor McGregor tattoos. Very unoriginal. Yeah, he does. Yeah.
And he totally comes out positioning himself like Conor,
big time,
strutting like Conor does, right?
Big time. But I'll give it to him. He actually came out and to come back from a loss from Ricky Banderas, from that quick KO that he suffered, to come back and actually choke a dude out when you're just a striker. I thought it was a good move. To beat a tough. Yeah, it wasn't the toughest competition in Stephen Graham. I thought they would have thrown a bit tougher of a challenger against him since he was headlining this Irish card, but they obviously want him to get a win. I think Stephen Graham's a tough dude, but he had a similar record as James Gallagher. But they throw him a bit of a can. I'll give him a 50-50 can on that one. Still a very, very young guy. James is only 22 years old. The Strabinal? How that Strab animal? What the hell is that? I don't know. What kind of Irish? Hit us up. Hit us up on Twitter. I don't even know what the hell his nickname even means. Irish fans, all our Irish fans, hit us up on Twitter. Tell us out what the hell that even is. Is that some kind of Irish folklore or some shit? James the Strab Animal Gallagher. Weird one. Moves to 8-1. I don't know who they're really going to give him next. He definitely not due for a title shot yet. He's got to still fight a few dudes. That 145 division in Bellator is quite tough. Maybe they'll put him in that tournament. Obviously, he seems like an easy fit to go in that tournament that they're going to do at the end of the year. And maybe that's when we'll see him next. Moving right on, James Gallagher. That brings us to UFC Fight Night 145. Jan Blachowicz versus Thiago Santos. Shitty that it wasn't on TV. Only Fight Pass people could watch that one. It wasn't even on Fight Network, which usually is on if it was on Fight Pass. Going down in the Czech Republic, O2 Arena. It was on earlier in the day, too. At least I caught all the highlights. It was a pretty stacked card for, for first time going to Czech Republic. I'm not sure, what they're going to do over there. I guess they're just going everywhere, trying to promote the brand. I thought it was a weird move. I've never really heard, there's not really any Czech fighters coming out that you ever see, so I thought that was kind of a weird move for them to have a card over there to really, I guess it's just going wherever, but I thought it was a weird move for whoever decided that one. Marco Polo Reyes, he loses. Oh, damn it. There was a huge, I should have bet on this one too. Ismail Nuradev versus Michael Prezeza. That was the biggest mismatch of the night, and Ismail goes on to win it. He was a huge underdog in that one. Carlos Diego Freire beats Rustam Kabalov. He goes down as well. Stock plummets on that one too. We see some favorites really losing on this one. The one notable one was Jillian Anderson with her awesome rear naked choke, and that was actually a really good match against Veronica Macedo. That was actually a really, really good match. Those girls were really great grapplers. They were really tussling and going at it. Jillian the Savage Robertson fighting out of Niagara Falls. It was shitty that she had the American flag, even though she came out with the Canadian flag. She had the American flag as she, where she's training out of. Obviously, she's moved to the States. Very young as well, only 23, fighting out of American top team. This girl's going to make some waves here. She lost her second. Oh no, she's actually had 4 UFC fights. She's now 4-1 or 3-1 in the UFC, having everything by finish. Even she did get armbarred by Mayra Bueno Silva. She beat Cynthia she lost to Cynthia Calvillo. So she's got some really tough competition on her record, and I think there's a huge stepping stone for her moving forward. Jillian the Savage Robertson. What the hell happened here? Having some technical difficulties here, folks. We are coming to you live. Whoop, not that button.
Live for 25. All the technology is going haywire.
It can't handle it. Can't handle the heat. Let's see here. Oh, I thought Daniel Teemer, yeah, he lost as well. That was actually a really good back-and-forth fight. Gets choked out by Chris Fishgold. That was a really good fight. Dwight Grant sending Carlos Pendersoli Jr. back to the drawing board once again. Carlos Pendersoli, he had so much hype behind him, and now here he is, 2 losses in a row against a very tough fighter in Dwight Grant. That's got to be pretty cool, though, to be a fighter from America or wherever you're from, to go and get a fight in Czech Republic. That would be really, really cool. Peter Yan continues his hot streak, beating John Dodson at 125. This guy's really making some waves as well. Peter Yan really getting it done. Liz Carmouche, no surprise, she beats Lucy Pudilova. And Gian Volante gets knocked out with that nasty body shot. That was really, really rough. He got clobbered right in the gut, and he had no choice but to go down with that one. I really thought Gian would have won that one, but no. Michael Olzinjuk, he really pulled it out. Stefan Struve wins by arm triangle choke, sorry. And he didn't really announce his retirement. It was kind of weird. If you saw at the end, he was kind of saying, I may retire, may not. I've taken my gloves off, but I may not retire. So it was kind of weird how he kind of set a goal after his heart problems that he was going to fight for 5 more years, and it's been 6 years now, so he's not 100% sure what he's going to do. Stefan Struve throughout the years has been such a great heavyweight. A dude who I'm pretty sure he beat Stipe Miocic, giving Stipe his first loss. So he's always been that very, very game dude. And he's had one hell of a long UFC career. Holy shit. Fighting all the way back to UFC 95. Wow, let's break it down here. Stefan Skyscraper Struve, 6 degrees of separation, and new podcast. Beats Marco Rogerio de Lima, loses to Marcin Tybura, lost to Arlovsky, got knocked out by Volkov, beat Daniel Olmonzuk. He actually beat Antonio Bigfoot Silva. Lost to Jared Rosholt. Beat Big Nog. Lost to Overeem. Lost to Mark Hunt. He beat Stipe. Beat LeVar Johnson. That was a good fight. I really like LeVar Johnson. Beat Dave Herman. There was another weird dude who's fallen off the face of the earth. Dave Herman, really weird dude. Beat Pat Barry. Lost to Travis Brown. Beat Sean McCorkle. I remember that guy was actually a good fighter too. And Christian Moorcraft. Lost to Roy Nelson. Beat Paul Bontello. Beat Chase Gromley. He also wins on UFC 99. Denis Stojic. And it looks like he lost. Yeah, and then he lost his first fight was against Junior Dos Santos. Tough matchup for your first UFC fight. Getting TKO'd and all the way back to UFC 95. Wow. Tons and tons of fight. What a UFC career for this guy. I think he can hang his hat and be proud. He's only 31, but obviously with those heart problems, you don't want to mess around. And
40 matches too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 40 fights, 31 at heavyweight, no doubt. He's a very, very game dude. Great grappler, great striker. It's always was so tough to battle. I think Paul Bontello was at one. That was probably one of his better fights. That was one hell of a back and forth war. I really remember loving that one. Great fight, and I think it's about time. Maybe one more fight for Stefan Struve, and we can call it a career for him.
Give him an interim belt.
Yeah. Interim heavyweight champion Stefan Struve. And you get a retirement belt. You get a belt when you retire.
Yeah.
Here's for all your service. Thanks for the brain damage. Have a nice life. That brings us to the main event of the evening. Thiago Marreta Santos versus Jan Blachowicz. I thought that was a weird matchup. I thought Thiago Santos was a bit higher on the 205 list, especially for a dude who had beaten Anthony Smith, and then now he's going to go back and actually has to fight Jan Blachowicz, which I thought was very weird. Thiago Santos, he's already fought like a ton already recently, and he gets another big win with that crazy knockout over Jan Blachowicz, taking it in the third round and really putting him out. And those fights... the punches definitely weren't landing hard, but the ref had no choice but to stop the fight. When you're getting sledgehammered by the sledgehammer, you got to stop the fight. Make him, putting Jan Blachowicz back to the drawing board, and Thiago, he's got to get the title shot next. It's ridiculous that if he doesn't get the title shot. He's moved since he's moved to 205. He had just been killing everyone. Beating Eric Anders, I thought that was probably the fight when I was really impressed. That really put him on the map for me, beating Eric Anders. That was a great fight in Brazil. Eric Anders was a last-minute replacement, but he still comes in to beat that one, beating Jimmy Manoa, obviously by KO, and then TKOing Jan Blachowicz. 3 finishes, 3 in a row. It's a slam dunk to give this guy the 205 title shot. It makes total sense. He lost to David Branch, which was a kind of a weird KO, but, this is fighting. That's what happens. Obviously his win for Anthony Smith was an awesome fight. That was a huge win for him. Tons and tons of fights. Dude's been on one hell of a tear. He's had fights. He's fought some tough competition in the UFC, as most shit is when you fight in the UFC. Moving from 185, going up to 205. The sky is the limit. And I can't wait to see more of Thiago Marreta Santos. It's just a slam dunk to give him the title shot, that's for damn sure. Moving right along here, folks. I didn't touch base. No Morgan this weekend. Gonna take a little hiatus from the show. I hope to see him back one day. Always love Morgan and our back and forth on the wrestling talk. So it's a huge wrestling fan. We always talk about it all throughout the week. We're always smack talking each other throughout the week, so it's just easy for us to smack talk each other live. 25 live on the show. Wrestling Smack Talk. Well, that just about wraps up all the MMA we had this week. Road FC was good. Check it out, folks. If you haven't, broaden your horizons. Check out, that's what I just love doing, especially with the Fight Network. We can really check out all these different cool shows, and these underground ones, you just got to set your PVR, because obviously Russia and South Korea are on a different time zone than we are, and you set your PVR, and then you can fast forward through all the bullshit. It's just a little different, but like I said, it was Road FC didn't impress me, but it was clean, and I liked it. I really liked it a lot. What time are we sitting at here? We're just about there. Let's take a quick little breather before we get into my take and to our wrestling talk. Live 25 show. Taking a quick breather. We'll be right back after these brief messages. Hungover? Try eggs. Great hangover cure since 1903. Mixing in 2-inch waters.
Just make sure that you cook the damn eggs and it's not runny, because that shit's gross.
Cook your eggs thoroughly. And no more hangover. Brought to you by Eggs and Water. Cold, crisp beautiful water. Comes in different types. Frozen, steam, just plain old lukewarm. You can bath in it, drink it, put it in your car.
Can't cross TSA because you have fluid? You can freeze that shit. Now it's a solid.
Take that, TSA.
Gotcha on a technicality. They love technicalities in TSA.
Yeah, it goes over real well.
Tired of the cold weather? Go to Mexico. I'm doing it. You should too.
Cold weather sucks.
Especially snow and rain. Water and frozen water falling from the sky. They both suck.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I don't know how that's a commercial, but... Got munchies? Try candy. It's good.
Has trace amounts of water.
Water. Good for everything. Except for electronics.
Don't dip your laptop in water. Bad idea. Refrain from using your laptop in the tub.
Your laptop does not need a bath. Maybe just some Lysol wipes.
And we're back live 25. Hope you enjoyed our messages. And go get yourself a cold, tall glass of water on the house. Speaking of waters, it brings me to my take of the week. And this week I gotta give it up to the almighty barley god of golden goodness, beer. How I love thee. Beer is the best shit on earth. Whether you're that hipster twirling your mustache and asking what IPAs are on tap, or as far as you're concerned, Budweiser is the only beer they make, all of it is great. I love it all. From the top of the spectrum right down to the bottom of the spectrum. Cannot go wrong. And with the craft beer revolution we've seen the last few years, get your ass out to a brewery and taste it straight from the tap. That's all I can say, man. Nothing is more fresh than right from the brewery tap. It is so crisp, so cold, and so golden, so smooth. Nothing beats it. Sitting in that can or sitting in that bottle just can't compare to getting it. So get out there and get your growler filled, man. That's all I gotta say. Or just go in and just have a few drinks. I went not too long ago to one, a few weekends ago, and man, it really reminded me of why I go to places like this and why I love beer so much. With Strange Fellows, Central City, Four Winds, Bomber Brewery, Parallel, 49, all the way to Fuggles and Warlocks, which is the one I went to. It's just a few to name. And when you go in and to get the drink, I just can't stress it enough. It's just so damn delicious. My two favorite breweries are from the island, both side by side. The number one is Driftwood, number two being Phillips, with White Bark being my favorite, and with Blue Buck being my favorite. It's a low IPA. It's not a fucking palate destroyer like most IPAs you drink. It's super smooth, and it's still got that IPA taste to it. I used to be about the quality. I used to be always that guy bringing different big bottles over to parties. But at $6.50 a pop, you're not really getting bang out of your buck. And I've now shifted over to quantity, over to quality. With my beer drinking game on point, I've been moving to the 15 packs. It's the only thing that can quench my thirst of waters is getting that 15 pack. And you can get the quality at a good price. You can get the quality with the quantity at a good price. We don't have it as good as you Americans down there with what kind of beers you get to choose from. We have a limited selection when it comes to it, especially when it comes to the craft brewery market. We still have they're popping up everywhere, but they're just the availability to get them without going into their brewery can be hard to find sometimes. With Rolling Rock, Miller High Life, and even Busch 15 packs, you get the deal and you get the most bang for your buck. I can't say enough. Rolling Rock, drinking it right now as my beer. Drank a ton of them last night as well. They just sit so well. It's a good beer. Out of the States, and just at 4.5%, you can't go wrong with it. A pale ale to end all pale ales. Rollin' Rock. And these 15 packs are a step up from the bottom of the barrel, like the Lucky Lagers, the Black Label, and the Wildcats, which are kind of like the swill of beer. If you're really down on your luck, you're going to be buying a 6-pack of those ones, or the 8-packs that usually come in. Move on up to the 15-pack. If you haven't tried it out, I give my seal of approval, Rollin' Rock, as my number one beer. That 15-pack cannot be beat. In conclusion, I love you, beer. Don't ever change. Your delicious taste and your diversity is timeless, and for timeless enjoyment. Don't ever change. My beer when I go out, though, if I'm on like the company dime or something like that, Heineken. Love me some Heineken. I know Kelly likes Heineken too. Can't get enough of that. It's just there's just the standard of quality when it comes to a good beer. You can never go wrong with it. Such a great taste. I love them all, though. I'm just not a big when it comes to it. I'm not a big of the Guinness type. Of beers. It's not really my cup of tea having those thick ass beers. I like to drink a good amount of beers. With those guys, you can only have a few of them. But beer. I love it. As I get older, I can enjoy them, have one or two, and enjoy them and still move on with my night. But like I said, Rollin' Rock, hit it up. Let's talk some wrestling. A lot to get to this week on wrestling, with lots of news to break down and everything that happened this week. Good start to Raw with Triple H announcing the debut of Ricochet, Aleister Black, Tommaso Ciampa, and Johnny Gargano. I was really surprised by the call-up of Ciampa and Gargano. I did not see them coming even in. I had made the comment before for the halftime heat that those dudes do not belong on the main roster, and here we see him. It was kind of weird how they're bringing them up as the tag team, the DIY tag team, which I thought was a bit of a weird move for those dudes who do not, their storyline right now in NXT is that they hate each other, so then all of a sudden bring them over to Raw, to the big show, and then they're all of a sudden they're buddies again. So that was a little bit odd, but I think they're giving the fans what they want, and everyone loves DIY, with the exception of myself. Corbin puts on actually a really good match against Braun Strowman. I was actually, for all the times that those dudes had gone up against each other, this was actually a very good match for Corbin to be able to display some of his skill. Hats off to Corbin. It was a good match. Ricochet coming to Finn's rescue was a really good move. Those two dudes together could really set the world on fire. And we got to see Ricochet. He was obviously super nervous. He had a few little botches throughout that match, and you can tell in his speech afterwards that he was super nervous to be on the big stage. I never saw it for Ricochet, one of my favorite wrestlers. But for a dude to come from Prince Puma all the way up to the big show as Ricochet, he did not disappoint. He really hung in there with the big dogs. For a dude, I thought he'd maybe be a bit too small, but he's actually a little taller than Finn Balor, so at least he's got the height. He's got his in-ring ability is bar none one of the best with the shit he does. So I was really impressed. What I thought was weird is Heavy Machinery not being well received when they got zero reaction from the crowd. They had that little interview outside with Charlie there, and it really did not go over well with their catchphrases. No one was even saying a thing. I thought that was really weird. I thought they were a bit more popular that way, but I guess not where they were from. They had to have Lacey Evans come down and save the segment, really. What bothers me the most about the Revival, let's get into this here. Morgan's missing out to be able to argue this point here, but what bothers me the most is how fake and forced these guys are. They come out as bullies, but in real life, these guys are some of the biggest nerds ever to be in the squared circle when it comes to wrestling. They come out like they're tough guys, and they're not. It just doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me. They're coffee aficionado losers is who these guys are in their real life, and I can't stand them. I cannot stand them. Go away. And they lose to DIY. They you know what I mean? They come up and they lose. They're supposed to be the tag team champions, and they lose like basically their first match. They don't lose the belts, but you know they lose two dudes. That's obviously the match everyone wanted to see. They had a very storied rivalry in NXT against the Revival, and everyone wanted to see that match. Like I said, with the exception of me, but for them to lose to DIY, I was quite shocked by what a kick in the nuts to them. I can't wait till they lose the damn titles and they can move to fucking AEW or some shit.
I totally disagree. I think they're awesome and they're great. Sorry, trying to make up for Morgan. Great on the mic, best tag team partners.
Yep.
Since I have no idea.
Legion of Doom.
With the football pads and the spikes, right? Oh,
yeah, exactly. Those guys are awesome.
I know old school wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. Those guys are awesome. The punishment of Dean Ambrose continues with his squash match. Poor guy. Why did he have to announce he was going to leave the company? Because they're just going to drag his ass through the mud on this one. Aleister Black makes a huge impression beating Elias. I thought it was actually a really good match. They're still loving what they're doing with Elias, making fun of the crowd. He's just killing it. I just chuckle the whole segment, Elias segments. I just fucking love it. I've said it every fucking time on this show how much I love Elias and is making fun of the crowds. But he's getting so good with it now. He's coming up with good songs again, making fun of the city he's in, and I'm just loving it. I just love it. Well, who did Ruby Riott piss off? Her match for her to keep losing to Ronda Rousey. Her match was a little sloppy, but it wasn't bad. At least she didn't get squashed again. But it was actually kind of a stale ending to Raw, I thought, with Ronda, and Ronda just needs to step it up. I think this is actually on Ronda's shoulders that she kind of had a bit of a stinker of a match. She really didn't command it. It wasn't the best of matches, and for the person who's supposed to be your marquee matchup, she kind of just stunk it up, and I feel sorry for Ruby Riott for her having to constantly job to Ronda Rousey. Give her some kind of moral, give her a cheap win, something like that. Give her a disqualification win, something like that. But they're not really doing it. I think they're putting a lot of it too much on Ronda's shoulders, and she fumbled the ball this time. The NXT stars onto Smackdown. The NXT stars get to showcase their talents over there as well, which I thought was a nice little move as well. Tough road for those dudes to have to compete Monday, Tuesday, and then even Wednesday on NXT, with Johnny Gargano obviously losing his North American title to Velveteen Dream. But those guys, they got the call up. They had to put on their boots and go to work every day. Even Aleister Black, his match in NXT, he had one hell of a welt on his ass. It didn't look good. Like he took like a real rough bump in one of his matches, and to still have to go to wrestle, there's no way that wouldn't hurt like a son of a bitch having that huge ass bruise right on your butt. It was clearly visible too. Who knows how far it went up in there, because it was covered up by his shorts. But tough dude. I really like Aleister Black, and I think he's a great fit for the main roster. Ciampa with the botch of the year, Tommaso Ciampa. That's why I don't really like these DIY guys here. The botch of the year really powerbombed Kelly. What he would done, because they got another tag team match against The Bar, who's Sheamus and Cesaro, and they really showcased how small these guys are. Because Cesaro's pretty big, but Sheamus is way bigger. Like Sheamus is really a huge dude. And they were towering over top of these dudes. For them to be in a match with them, I thought was kind of odd. As I've always said, that Johnny Gargano doesn't belong in anything but 205 Live. And I think that's what they're feeling him out, seeing what his crowd reaction is going to be for the main roster. I don't know. I'm going to think it's a mixed result. really, with how well he is received on the main show. To be that huge fan favorite from NXT, I don't know. I think this could ruin his career unless he goes back to NXT right away. But Ciampa had him on the ropes, like Sheamus was supposed to suplex him off the top turnbuckle. So they're on the turnbuckle, Kelly, and Sheamus was going to suplex Tommaso Ciampa onto his back, but instead he reverses it and he goes through his legs and goes to powerbomb him. But he powerbombed him right onto his own knee, and his knee got bent the wrong way, but it hurt Sheamus's back super bad. Sheamus obviously, landing his whole body onto someone's knee, that did not feel well, but I thought Ciampa was out. I thought he destroyed his knee because he's already wearing knee braces on both of his knees. I thought and the look on his face looked like he seriously did some damage. And it was shitty that they went on to win that match, too. I thought that was a real kick in the pants to the Bar, which we hadn't seen in a little while. And then for them to come out and lose, to have to job to DIY, I thought that was a rough move. How could they let him beat him? That's why I didn't know how they could let him beat him. Huge win for Mandy Rose. Maybe her push is coming. Huge win for Mandy Rose. They're giving her a huge push. I think she's got to be the fan favorite, I guess. I enjoy her. I think she's not bad on the mic, and she's obviously very attractive, and I think the sky's the limit when it comes to her. She's really going to start making waves, and I think the WWE, pardon me, I should say, has got to use her properly. And here's going to be that key moment where I had said earlier, we got to see how Mandy's going to roll with this ball, about how she had the home wrecker angle, how she rolls with it here, and I think they're going to do good with it. I think they're really going to do good with it. Another great match. We're live. Another great match by Ricochet against the Sanity, and he had a really, really good little match against them. Having the interference from the outside of the ring to come out, pull off the win again. Another good showing by him in his showcase. I like how they're using Kofi as now they're pushing him as the leader of the New Day. And I think it really, really works. They're kind of getting a little bit stagnant, you know what I mean? So I think having Kofi as your designated leader, and they're how much behind Xavier Woods and Big E are behind him, I think it's really, really working out for him to come out and say, hey, we're all behind you here, man. We're your buddy, and we want you to get the title. Obviously, with him getting his title shot against Daniel Bryan at Fastlane coming down in the weeks to come here. I've never been a huge fan of Fastlane because it's always, it's the show before WrestleMania and nothing's going to happen. It's got a terrible name too, Fastlane. I understand it's the Fastlane to WrestleMania, and I guess they got to fit something in there for the build-up, but you're never going to see a titles change on Fastlane. It's always been a Raw on a Sunday is what I've always kind of equated it to. But Kofi's obviously going to lose. I don't see him winning and going on to WrestleMania, the headline WrestleMania as the champ. I would love to see it happening. Obviously, as the whole world has said that's what they want as well. But we are definitely not going to see that anytime soon. I like Kofi Kingston, but I just don't see it, unfortunately. I just don't see it. Let me just take a drink here of delicious Rolling Rock. So delicious. From the glass-lined tanks of Old Latrobe, we tender this premium beer for your enjoyment as a tribute to your good taste. Am I right? Uh-huh.
Sounds like a commercial.
I know.
Some more beer, man.
I know. To honor the tradition of this great brand, we quote from the original pledge of quality. Good stuff. Good stuff.
I guess it would be send us beer, not more beer, because they haven't sent us any.
Yeah, send us any beer.
Send us any beer, Rolling Rock.
Yeah. Premium beer, love it. St. Louis, Missouri. 4.5% of pure goodness. I think it's brewed. Where is it? Oh, it's different brewed. Where is it brewed? Here, close by. I guess Edmonton would be the closest. Yeah, we probably get ours from Edmonton. Love it. I love it so much, I'm just going to crack myself another one. Live 25 coming to ya. In wrestling news, with obviously the recent call-ups, we are now getting the recent releases. Ty Dillinger is taking his Perfect 10 elsewhere, asking for his release. He never really fit in. I thought his call-up to the main event, to the main card, was bad right off the bat. And now we're seeing it here. He never really fit in. He doesn't really have the charisma. He doesn't. Yeah, I never really bought him. I know he's a Canadian guy, so I'm supposed to support him, but I don't have to. For him losing his opportunity, it's shitty that he couldn't get a chance to go back to NXT, but he actually asked for his release and he got it. Obviously, I could see him moving over to AEW, but I just don't know. And I think as a wrestler, you want to strive to be on WWE no matter what. But I guess if you're on the dark cards and the undercards all the time, you just don't. You can't get that ball rolling. You can't get the momentum. Everyone wants a title. But there's only the lineup is so long. Ty Dillinger had to be at the back of that lineup, and here he gets what he asked for. He gets his release, along with TJP also getting released. I'm not sure if he wanted his, but TJ Perkins moving on. I could see him going to AEW, and Hideo Itami getting released as well. That was a kind of a surprise one. I think he had asked for his release as well, but he obviously is going to be going back over to Japan. I can only imagine he's going to be in New Japan Pro Wrestling, where he got his start and where he's going to make his money as well. I just don't think he had a good fit either. He had bad injury problems, and he just never really fit in. You know what I mean? It was hard to fit into storylines. I thought he had a good run in NXT, but they really didn't push him properly, and then he got injured, and it's hard to push a guy when he's constantly getting injured, obviously. Another dude who was upset, especially was good to see Sanity on SmackDowns, because Killian Dane had asked for his release because he was so upset with them not being used. It's got to be tough. You're getting a guaranteed contract to sit at home, but I think it's got to be tough at the end of the day where you really want to build your own personal brand when it comes to being a wrestler, and you're not going to do that on the couch. And the next thing you know, you're released for no reason at all just because no one's buying your T-shirt. And I like Sanity as a team. I don't like the other guy. I think is something Wolf, I think his name is. I can't remember his name, but I'm not a fan of the third guy. I like the leader, and I like Killian Dane. Insanity, but I just don't know. They need something extra. They need something special. One more dude with a bigger name to really carry them. Maybe we'll see Bray Wyatt join them or something like that. I think that could work, but they're kind of their own thing. But how are you going to have the Wyatt family and Sanity in the same thing? It's kind of weird when it comes to that. So I think they're just having a hard time fitting in. Another team I thought was a bit of a quick call up, where they could have done a lot more in NXT. But obviously, it's just a revolving door down there. They're just trying to push people up, and if it works, it works. It doesn't, so long, you're gone. But that's the thing about NXT is the talent is just constantly coming in. I don't know how well they're going to do. They must be hoping to sign a bunch of new dudes. Where does Lars Sullivan fit now? Does he go back to NXT, or is he done? Because since his whole call-up, he has fallen off the face of the earth. He has been nowhere to be seen in either brand, which is really, really sad. Well, that's about all the wrestling news. Waiting for Fastlane, waiting for WrestleMania right around the corner. I think we're just about a month away from WrestleMania. Super excited for that. Everything that comes down the pipe on that one, coming at you live with some Ruckus Watch. How's the Ruckus been holding up for you, Kelly?
It's pretty good. It's still super cold outside, so I only do short rides around the neighborhood and stuff like that, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I should go for a rip later on today. Yeah, I'm super excited to see how that baby breaks that baby in.
It's gonna be a fun summer.
Yeah. Guess that's really about it. Yeah, summer's gonna be the best. I think we're finally seeing the end of it here. Because we can finally go on, get that groundhog doing his job, and we can finally get some springtime up in here. Almost March, and there's still snow on the ground. It's unheard of for us. Absolutely unheard of. Can't wait. UFC 235 coming right around the corner. Let's break that card down a little bit here. We talked about a little bit before, but golly, going down next weekend. We will be seeing that card go down here. What a super stacked card we have got for us. Right from top to bottom. Toe up from the flow up. Frankie Sands versus Marlon Vera. Should be a great fight. I want to see what the fighting odds are. I bet you should play some money on this card here. Macy Chazon. Oh, Macy Chazon from the show. She gets her UFC debut against Gina Mazzani. That should be a really good fight. What else we got here? Mickey Gall versus Diego Sanchez. I'm really excited for that one. Alejandro Perez versus Cody Strayman. Misha Kirkinoff versus our boy here, Johnny Walker. Jeremy Little Heathen Stevens versus Zabit Magomed Sharapov. We got two of the killers on this. The new killers on from our list on this card here. Cody Garbrandt versus Pedro Munoz. Tisha Torres versus Weili Zhang. Oh yeah, I've seen her fight before. Yeah, she's actually pretty good.
Can't believe I'm gonna be away for this.
I know. Maybe you can catch it.
I don't know. It might be difficult.
Yeah. Robbie Lawler versus Ben Askren. T. Wood, Tyrone Woodley versus Kamaru Usman. And then the main event, John Bones Jones versus Anthony Smith.
Woo-wee.
Excited.
Crazy.
Excited. Like I said, I think Thiago Santos should have been the guy here. I think he would have had a better chance against John Jones. I don't see Anthony Smith having a snowball chance in hell taking that fight. And he's going to have a tough matchup, I can tell you that much. All going down next weekend. We will have our break. Oh, we won't have our breakdown. Taking a brief 1-week hiatus from the show here. We're 25 episodes strong without missing a beat. We got to take a break, folks. I know you love us, but we're going to come back better, stronger, faster. Exactly.
Everything.
Exactly. More drugs. More. We got hooked up with John Jones. John Jones guy will be coming out filled with PEDs. I'm joking, of course. We're coming to you live. Oh shit. No, we'll be coming back, taking a week off, folks, and we'll be coming back right after with all the breakdown here. We'll be coming up that week. I think that will be the card of. Let's just take a quick look here. We're doing good on time here. Doing great on time. It will be Derek Lewis versus Junior Dos Santos.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that should be good. That should be a really good card. So we'll be breaking that one down, and all the other cards around that one. And where is this one? It's in Wichita. Weird, Wichita. Ben Rothwell makes his return against Blagoy Ivanov. This should be a good fight. Tim Bosch is also on that card. Not a great card, but Beneil Dariush is on that one too. Yeah, it should be still either way. The main event is worth its weight in gold and is free as well. So we'll be doing that. Well, that just about wraps it up. Hit us up on Twitter, folks. What you want to hear, all you listeners. Appreciate you guys throughout all the months we've had it. 25 shows in the book. We can't. What the future brings for us here is endless. The sky's the limit. Everything we talk about. Hit us up on Twitter with what you like, what you hate, and everything that goes with that. Anything else you want to talk about, Kelly?
Oh, I think I'm good this week.
Yeah, I haven't really played. What did I get? Bomberman. I got Bomberman. Yeah. Cool. It was free. It was free on Xbox Live, and it was a ton of fun. especially for a free game. It was like $60 is how much it is, and they're going for free right now, obviously because it didn't sell worth a damn. It's kind of cool because what they had done with it is, it's like this classic Bomberman, with all this normal stuff. They haven't really done anything with the power-ups or anything. You can, kicking and picking it up and throwing it, and bouncy bombs and spike bombs and shit like that. But they've added characters, different Konami characters. Like they got all the Castlevania guys like Dracula and the Belmonts and different guys. They have some Overwatch characters in it too. And the cool thing about all these different characters are that are not with all the other Bomberman characters as well. There's about 10 Bomberman characters, different colors, and they all have different attitudes and shit like that. They all have the special characters you pay for. You don't actually pay for them. You get points in the game, and then you use those points to buy characters. And, you buy your extra crap. You know what I mean? Like the little bauble, like the little antenna. You can buy different antenna things as well. They all have special abilities. And so there's different abilities that everyone has that can do. Like even have Xavier Woods is actually in the game, which is really, really cool. I guess he's been known to be a huge Bomberman fan. And how cool is that? You're a wrestler, a very famous wrestler, and your YouTube show Up Down Down is so popular that a video game puts you in it. Like how awesome is that? And his special ability is actually pretty cool. His special ability, like you just like get this, like it's like a wrestling ring comes up around you, and it protects you from the bomb blast. So he's got a really cool little special ability. There's other different special abilities. Everyone's got something really cool. There's a lot of Halo guys too. Halo's like the Master Chief's in it, and all the Covenant characters are in it too, and they all have special abilities too, and it's really, really fun.
Now we know why it was $60. They have to pay for all these licenses.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. So, and there's tons of like Japanese game characters. I have no clue who they are, and but it's really, really fun. And me and my son were just playing like crazy. And you can play 4-man battles, 8-man battles. They also have a Grand Prix, so you get points doing that, and different game styles, team battles. But it's still just Bomberman. That's why I was surprised by the price tag of $60. It's still Bomberman. You know what I mean? And there's only really so much you can do with it. There's a story mode, which is kind of like a survival mode. You just keep playing and playing and playing, and you're just going up against like bad guys. So it's not bad too, but for free, it's really fun. Check it out on Game Pass, man. If you guys got Game Pass, Xbox Live Gold membership, get it. Not Game Pass. It's just Xbox Gold membership. You can get coming at you live. You can get it for free. Really fun game, especially for free. They've got a bunch of other good games coming out this year, this month too. Especially on the Game Pass too. Crackdown 3 you can get for $1. If you just sign up. Yeah, Crackdown 3 is on Game Pass as well. They're doing a lot of games, so you can get. And right now, I think it's $2 for 2 months. I think so. It's well worth it, or even like $1. I think it's $1 a month for the month right now. They're really trying to get people to get on Game Pass. It's really, really good. I've bought it throughout the years a few times here and there. I don't know if I would go, for a year subscription for it, but they have a lot of games. If you're just into picking up a game, playing it for a week, dropping it, picking up a game, playing it for a week, and dropping it, this is the system. This is the setup for you. Video games talk all done. In the books. Live 25. Concluding today. We'll see y'all in 2 weeks' time. For co-host and producer extraordinaire Kelly, my name is Steven, and you've been listening to the new podcast Live 25. Signing off.